embracing myself as like who I am, and I am different, and as someone who's teaching Korean food, or sharing a lot of Korean culture, being different, being like the outside or marginalized group, become my asset. It's something that I'm using to make a business. So I just never thought I could be doing that.
Today we're joined by Selina Lee. She is a menu and recipe developer and a consultant for restaurants and companies.
I always introduce myself as Korean recipe developer and consultant. I specialize in Korean food. I offer private workshops in people's homes, group workshop at a cooking school in San Francisco, past 11 years.
But this might be an obvious question, but why Korean food?
It's actually my favorite cuisine, not because it's my background, but if you ask me, like, name your top 3 favorite cuisine or food, and I think Korean would always rank number 1. I would have to kind of think a little bit harder about second and third.
Okay. What do you particularly like about Korean food?
I think the comfort factor plays a big part. Like having variety of like protein, vegetable, grain, like everything in a set table. So I really like that aspect of Korean food.
When you ask Korean mom or 할머니 about a recipe, they go, oh, 이거 대충, 저거 대충, 이거 조금, 저거 조금, right? When I first got married and had to start cooking or even think about cooking, I would call my mom and go, Mom, 엄마 이거 어떻게 만들어? 이거 설탕 얼마큼 넣어요? 뭐 간장 얼마큼? 대충. I'm like, what does that mean, 대충? So you learned it by 대충 or 조금씩? 이거 조금, 저거 조금?
Right. I started like that because that's how I learned, by seeing them. But later on, when I actually had to take this on as a professional job, I had to learn how to measure everything, because when you're a recipe writer, you have to measure down to a T, right? So hard, because I have experience writing recipes for other types of food. In Korean, just makes it so difficult to get it down to the T. You end up like adjusting taste and adjusting as you go. That's kind of the part of Korean cooking. But you can't really like write that in the cookbook.
Yeah. Right. Adjust to your taste.
Yeah. People do use that term, adjust to taste, but you can't say, go with your gut, or, 1 spoon of oil. Or,
Right.
So that's
the one that really killed me was 가진 양념. Like, what does that mean, 가진 양념? I don't have any 양념. Growing up, was food important in your family?
Yeah, it was, because my parents, as soon as they landed here, they opened up a sandwich shop, like a deli shop, So that was their full-time work. Although it was like a small deli shop that focused on lunch business in the, business district of Oakland, it's not easy to like run a shop, So I think food was big part of us in that way, but not necessarily in a positive way. Or how difficult it was for my parents to run those business that they were not used to be doing. And then my mom coming home and then putting out a full Korean dinner. So
Right.
yeah, definitely appreciated, but it was, I think at that time, probably a pretty big struggle for everybody.
Yeah. Because some families, their love language is food. So I wonder if that was the love language of your family. What do you think was the love language of your family?
Yeah, I think because now I say my love language is through cooking and sharing food, and we didn't really get to enjoy that until later, when all 3 daughters grew up and we were able to cook on our own, and we could like cook for our parents and have family gatherings. It was. I mean, we could say, yeah, because all of us are like into cooking. All of us are like foodies, and we're like type of family that we're eating something really good, but we would be talking about some other food that's good or some other food experience that we had, you know. So we're pretty serious in that way. But in the beginning, it wasn't really, I would say, a positive, you know, life, you know.
Very typical immigrant family, right?
Yeah, yeah. Didn't we all kind of grew up on Costco food?
Yeah.
We took care of ourselves because we were sort of at that age where
Yeah.
we were okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. We all grew up that way, right? We fend for ourselves. We come home, we latchkey kids, right? Watch after school TV program,
Yeah,
do homework, wait until the parents get home. Mom comes home right away. She starts cooking, you know, kimchi jjigae and whatever. And you have your family dinner, and then repeat every
mm-hmm,
day. Yeah.
mm-hmm,
So for my family, it was not, we're not necessarily not distant, but I guess thinking back at that time, we're all, like you said, like so tired. My parents were
mm-hmm,
so tired from
mm-hmm,
working. And
mm-hmm,
then us kids, me and my brother, you know, I don't know what we were thinking. I guess we're thinking, oh, I don't want to bother mom or dad. You know, they're tired. So it was kind of like life like that going on. Like, you know, kind of you kind of look out for yourself and figure things out for yourself. Was that
mm-hmm.
like that for you too? I don't know. Maybe because you have sisters, it was different.
Yeah. I mean, even then, I think we really, really had to kind of look out for ourselves, you know, and I just kind of vaguely remembering that. I mean, because all of us did not speak English. So when we first came, not even like alphabet.
Mhm.
That's. I mean, now like kids in Korea learn
Yeah,
English, but back then, like we weren't taught English in
right.
school,
Mhm.
right? We were taught like Chinese characters. That's that makes me sound really old, but like we had to learn, yeah, you know.
Hanmun.
But yeah, so like the language was so difficult, and I remember vaguely remember that my parents can't help me with homework, nor can anyone in
Right.
the house. And so I just did what I can, but I failed so much, like
Mm,
few years. But
yeah.
I don't know, it wasn't like so despairing or anything because I knew that was normal. And everyone that was like me was having the same kind of challenges.
Hmm.
That and then I somehow had a faith that yeah, this isn't gonna last forever. I'm gonna eventually learn, but it was just really hard because the language was not there, and
Yeah.
so basically had to take care of our own homework, schoolwork, right, and then
Yeah.
like just help them around the house and like yeah, I mean, but the dinner was always there, promising my thanks to my mom.
Right.
But like everything else, I think we had to really fend for
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Dinner was always there. The laundry was always done, but everything else, yeah,
yeah.
we had to
Hmm.
figure out. You know,
Hmm.
that's funny because I came to the States in sixth grade, and
Hmm.
then soon after promoted to seventh grade, right? I clearly remember it was American history, and
Yeah.
then there was this word party. Like you, I had nobody to ask, what's a party? Like, is it like a party, like dancing and drinking and eating party? I had no idea what they meant. This must be a party, like the party that we know of, right? So I answered the question, whatever it was, according to my thinking of what party meant. But actually, later on, I learned that they were talking about the political parties.
Yeah. Wow.
Immigrant kid.
Yeah. Also, we came at a very similar time because
Yeah.
I never finished sixth grade or 초등학교 or
Hmm.
국민학교 in Korea, and then I had to jump right into seventh grade
Me
because the
too.
semester starts in the fall here,
Right, right.
and
Yeah,
so it's
me
like
too.
there was some semester that I lost.
Yes.
It didn't
Yeah.
matter. I had to pretty much start from scratch. And I remember just working so hard to learn English first 2 years before high school because everyone was scaring me and warning me that if you don't get out of ESL, um, it's gonna be hard to get through high school and then to college. So like I remember like really hard to like get out of English as second language class
Yeah.
in middle school.
I think the kids or the young people who came to the States like in 90s and 2000s are in a much different place,
Mm.
as in English speaking, more exposed to the non-Korean culture, all these things. But like in the 80s, none of that, right? We didn't have any exposure to English language or anything about the culture. So we really practically started from zero. Like I had nothing to work with, you know?
Yeah.
So it was a different times, but yeah, you survived. We survived.
I survived.
And doing great. Look at you,
Oh,
promoting Korean food and teaching and doing all these wonderful things. Yeah. How did you invent yourself as a menu developer and a food consultant, where you have no formal training to be a chef, but you build up this business idea and
mhm.
then you're carrying it through, doing in many different areas?
Yeah. I've been very lucky to have been approached by people through word of mouth and social media. Like, I don't know, just consistent posting or just showing that I'm doing something.
Mm,
It gives me a chance to reach somebody out there.
yeah.
I mean, I don't have a huge platform or following or anything like that, but I always told myself not to be discouraged by that, but just keep doing and keep sharing because somewhere out there someone's gonna recognize my work and they're gonna approach me.
So what exactly do you do as a food consultant or menu developer for a restaurant or a food company?
The work that I've been doing past, I don't know, like 7, 8 years is basically helping new Korean restaurants to open. So usually the owners or the main chef or cook already has a menu in mind, but they need some help executing into a restaurant scale and
Yeah.
then document the recipe, how to scale them to a restaurant size, and then how to train the employees. So there's definitely a restaurant consultant on the finance side and the whole business aspect of side, but there's also a consultant that helps with the menu and the food itself and the whole how things run in the kitchen. So I've done a few like new restaurant openings, but also if it's an existing restaurant or something, then they might they might want to look into improving their menu,
Yeah.
or they just want to have a fresh eye come in and help them to like just improve or something
Yeah.
because having some issues. And then there's it's not always the restaurant, but food brands that need people to really like use their product to come up with the recipe that they could share with their customers. So
See.
it's a pretty broad like spectrum of
Yeah.
work that needs to be done. It's just being a Korean like specific consultant is pretty like hard to find, I think, in the United States.
So
Or
do you work like mostly with Korean restaurants or like
yeah,
restaurants, non-Korean restaurants that serve like, because I see a lot of places where they sell like bulgogi taco, bulgogi burger, or whatever it is like.
both, but mostly Korean restaurants. I'm actually working on a project right now, opening a new restaurant in Wisconsin, a small town like north of Milwaukee. It's gonna be their first Korean restaurant ever.
Do
Yeah.
you ever go to Korea to learn or further
Um,
your
that is
development?
my future agenda. I am so overdue as far as visit. But yeah, what I'm always dreaming of is just traveling the countryside and learn how all the regional food is being sustained and made. And I mean, luckily I see a lot of it on media, which is great, but I'm sure like experiencing in person will be a whole thing.
Do you make your own 간장 and 고추장 and 된장?
I'm not there yet, man.
Okay. I don't know.
I
I don't, but
I made it before. It didn't quite out the way I was hoping for.
yeah, it's a long process, no? Complicated and long.
There's actually a quicker way to do it for gochujang, but you know how 간장 and 된장 does take a lot of science and time.
Mm. Do you make your kimchi though?
Yes. So
Wow.
Korean instructor like that has to be part of it, and actually classes are one of my most popular classes.
Is it?
Yeah. So I used to do a big like community like kimjang
Uh-huh.
day. It's actually not a 1 day, it's a 2-3 days process.
Oh, wow.
And then of course I love making small batch kimchi at home.
I need to take your kimchi class. I don't know how to make kimchi.
Oh, actually it's not as daunting as it seems.
Uh-huh.
Kind of make a mind shift and say, oh, I'm gonna make a small batch just to enough to eat it for a few weeks. I'm gonna make 100 cabbage to
Yeah.
store for 6 months, you know?
I know, but like I tried a couple of times, and my husband's like, "Oh, it's okay. We could buy kimchi." I think he was trying to say, "Don't do it anymore." But I do want to learn to make kimchi
Yeah,
because
I
it's
think
such a staple.
it is a staple, and I think people just are a little bit afraid of like just not turning out right, or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, just compared to the amount of labor, they think it's
You
it's
get a
been,
one jar.
and then so I think that's why. But I think it's all like matter of how you think about it.
What is your favorite dish to teach?
Oh, I think teaching them how to make banchan
Uh-huh.
and how to be practical about it. So like you make a set of very balanced banchan
Mm-hmm.
that's fresh versus banchan that lasts longer. Like you take, set aside like some hours on a weekend to make a set, and you are pretty much you have it for the week. You just have to make rice and soup maybe. I like teaching that part. So
Like more practical. Yeah.
yeah, I started more focusing on that since last year. So that's been one of my favorite things to teach.
What kind of banchan do you usually make in your class?
So for my class, I have a menu that I share with them. It has 60 different banchan and kimchi.
Wow. 60?
60,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
that they could choose from.
Huh.
I have like a fresh vegetable section. I have a quick kimchi section, pickled, and something that lasts longer, like 장아찌, things
Yeah.
like. And then like more protein based, like sort of like a main but kind of side.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then they get to choose like 3 to 4 different banchan and kimchi, and then one type of soup or stew to make.
Wow. So you
Yeah,
get to choose what you want to make.
yeah.
Oh, so everybody's making something different?
Yeah, there's
Oh,
definitely bread that gets repeatedly picked, but yeah, everyone get to choose what. And I get a lot of vegetarian, gluten-free options. Like
mm.
it's very versatile. So
What are some of the most popular banchans? Side
so
dishes, banchan.
yeah, any tofu banchan does really well. So I make this like really fresh, crumbly cold tofu with sukgat. It's a chrysanthemum leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Do like dressing.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Sounds good.
yeah. And then everyone likes making 겉절이, which is the fresh kimchi that doesn't require fermentation. So we make it that day fresh, and they could eat it that day, and they could store it for a week or longer,
Mhm.
and it'll mature the flavor and things like that. Um, the braised cod, the 은대구조림,
대구조림.
yeah, that's been really popular. I made that times with everybody. For the soup and stew section, surprisingly, 갈비탕,
Mm.
갈비찜, which I know a lot of people like, the braised short rib. They
Mm-hmm.
like their broth short rib soup.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and that takes a little bit of time because we started the night before, and then so we could lift all the fat the
Mm-hmm.
next. But people have requested that on many workshops.
You know, as you are, I'm Korean American. I grew up eating mostly Korean food at home, but we are exposed to other palates, right? So what we make at home, at least for me, is not really like the authentic traditional Korean food. Let's say like 된장찌개 or 대구조림. I have never made 대구조림 at home, but it's more like fusion.
Mm.
Yeah. So we mix different like flavors and the ways of cooking. Do you see that a lot, or do you do that at home for your family?
Yeah, I mean, I see that all the time, and I do that at home. I don't make kuchop every dinner. My kids love Korean food, but they're not gonna want to eat Korean food every day.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of fusion, I think, but I realized that fusion doesn't always mean like mixing the two different cultures. It could
Oh,
also be mixing the old and the new.
huh.
So
Okay.
if you see a lot of what's happening in Korea, like the Korean people living in Korea,
Yeah.
they don't eat kuchopbansang.
No.
They have simplified a lot of their meals. They've adapted quite a bit of westernized way of cooking or food. I mean,
Mm.
they sort of embrace the cheese like no
Oh my
other
God. I
culture.
know.
Um, so I do a lot of like simplify like rice bowls.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Still has all the elements of Korean things. So if
Mm-hmm.
I'm like 나물, like 시금치, 콩나물, then I would make a very simplified bibimbap at home. Just have the fried egg on top, right? Make the sauce. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of like simplify one dish kind of thing.
Right.
Love like curry, over
Yeah.
rice with kimchi on the side or
Yeah.
things like
Perfect.
yeah. It's not always like a full on.
I can't believe there are 60 different type of banchan. I don't think I've tasted all of them ever.
There's more. I mean, that's like the bare minimum that
Yeah. Oh my
of
gosh.
the bare minimum that I actually have a written recipe for,
Yeah.
basically.
So I guess it's like a variation of different types of dishes, right? These are all not whole new like ingredient or ways of cooking. Like
Oh,
different 나물, different 전,
yeah,
like
yeah.
kimchi.
So different namer, different pickles and kimchi, and then more heftier banchan or side dish, like 제육볶음, which is a spicy pork kind of thing. Or keramari. Like they want to learn the technique, so I've been showing them how to make that at home with the right kind of pan, right kind of tools, things like that. Just kind of an everyday thing that they just never had a chance to learn from their mom or
Yeah.
their parents.
Yeah. For the keramari, I've learned that I need the right tools to make
Yeah,
them. I
yeah.
cannot improvise with that one.
So, like, eggs are pretty sensitive, so
Yeah. So, like when you say the let's say other Korean Americans have not had chance to learn Korean food from their parents or mom particularly, it was
Mhm.
not intentionally like passed down to. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean that's really interesting because if you look at like sort of how history was panned out in Korea, teaching the next generation how to cook and do all that was very much part of their living, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it's the passed down from the mother-in-law to
Mm.
when they get
Yeah.
married to the family. But like just looking at our example of us immigrating here, being raised here with the first generation Koreans, I mean I just in my case it was more like they didn't have time for that. They were in a super survival mode.
Sure.
So it's not just the teaching us how to cook or do all these house chores and things like that. They were just busy making a living day to
Yeah.
day. Just they're trying to survive. And
Right.
so I think, I mean, my parents, like, it was pretty obvious to me that they just didn't have time for us to do all that. So we were pretty much like on our own to like adapt and learn and survive ourselves, right? It just wasn't like part of our, I guess, you know,
Yeah.
like dynamic,
Mm.
But like I said earlier, like I realized I learned so much just living with them and just seeing them how they carry their life, like just by them was a huge learning. So
And I think also it could be partially my parents' generation, my mom's generation, had not really big aspirations outside of the home. And
mm-hmm,
then our moms really instilled in us that you need to do something outside of the home. You need to build a career for yourself.
mm-hmm,
So then it was more kind of put in the back burner to teach your
mm-hmm,
daughter housework, house
mm-hmm.
sewing, cooking. Maybe intentionally it was like they felt like it was not necessary. Don't do this. 이런 거 하고 살지 말고 너는 너 삶을 살아. 뭐 이런 생각들이 있어가지고 어 I don't think that was their priority of teaching
Yeah,
Korean
I
cooking.
mean, that's the whole point of why they decided to probably move here because
Yeah.
they want better education, better life for us. And so maybe, yeah, it was a way for them to kind of escape from
Yeah.
the reality of how things are in Korea and how they were raised. So
Yeah.
I think in my family's case, it was just more like they were,
Easy.
yeah, they were just so having a hard time adjusting. And at least first couple of years, it was just really, really hard. Yeah.
Do you have any sisters?
Yeah, I do. I have two sisters, one older, 1 year older than me, and then 4 years younger. So,
Oh, so three girls in the family.
yeah.
Oh, you're so lucky. I don't have a sister, so I've always envied people with sisters. I think it's
Oh,
just a different type of relationship with a sister.
yeah, yeah. Different, probably different kind of bonding, you know?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yes, for sure. So, what is one dish that you learn from your family by either tasting or, watching them cook?
Um, this is something that I would say kind of passed down from my grandmother to my mom and then me. So, interesting fact about my grandmother, I wouldn't call it her great cook, but
Mm,
she was one of those cooks that had her own like a repertoire, I
mm,
guess. So she would host these like family gatherings and Tessa, which is like a ancestral or
uh-huh.
memorial day, right?
Tessa.
Um, she would make the same thing every year, but because she did that, she kind of perfected the.
Mm,
So one dish that she always made was 육개장,
mm-hmm,
and then 편육, and then she made chan, right? So she had this like a repertoire that she repeated, and then of course my mom had to like kind of take over, and then like I don't know, I kind of adapted. I don't do like chesa or those
mm-hmm.
host of big old gatherings, but
Yeah,
the same dish like the 육개장, chan, and all that, like it's all like just yeah passed down. Doesn't taste anything like what
the
my mom
grandmas.
did, but I'm just it's my own interpretation.
Yeah, yeah. Do you feel like you're cooking your own interpretation is simplified, like cleaner, like aesthetically more pleasing? What do you think?
um I think the type of food that I do is pretty classic. Classic meaning like I kind of stick to like the traditional way of making Korean food and still very textbook like. Told myself I'm a creative person, so I'm always wanting to do something creative, interpreted, modernized. But then, and then I told myself, why don't I just learn all the traditional way of making things like first year or two? But I'm still like past 10 years and I'm still learning all the traditional way of making things. Just thinking like, when am I gonna be able to do my own thing? But it's great because like there's still so much to like dig and explore. But I would say like my creative side, the whole design background, and so it doesn't affect, I think, the way I present my food, and that's still very, I think, important.
Yeah.
My grandmother, who didn't have a huge repertoire, but she always did tell me that presentation does matter, even when eating at home. Like, make sure you put on a nice napkin, and you know, a pretty plate, because it's how you could treat yourself, and like how you or how you present, put food down on the table reflects your attitude and your.
Wow.
So she always did like emphasize that.
That's really surprising because I don't really associate grandma's cooking with aesthetic presentation. So that's great that she was already aware of that.
Yeah, I must have gotten it from her. Because
Yeah. Why is food and Korean cooking important for you?
um I think it's important because I still feel that our space can be bigger and our voice can be heard a little bit more. um I mean, just past 5 years though, I feel like because the media and the whole cultural phenomenon has picked up, and so there's actually a lot of interest that we didn't have to go after, right? It's already there, and so it's really important that I do this now, and then moving forward. I mean, there was time when I thought about not just limiting myself to do Korean food, but maybe like expand to other Asian food or even other types of food to reach broader audience. But I'm so glad I didn't do that. That I stuck with just like focus on learning Korean food and teaching others and sharing knowledge freely. Really allow me to not only like connect with my own identity, but like just make some space for people that want to do this like after me, or in the
Yeah.
future. So, and I still feel like even with all this popularity and all this Korean cultural phenomenon, I feel like there's still not enough of us, or just like, or place for us to tell our story, or like just have our voice heard. So this kind of podcast, I think it's just so. I'm really thankful that you provided this space for me to tell my story, because I just never really had the opportunity. I mean, there were a few times when I think I was interviewed on paper, but like just never really was able to tell my story from a 1.5 Korean American generation. And I know there's quite a bit of us
Yeah.
that are doing special things,
Yeah.
and just like, but I mean, there's a lot of stories being told about Korean Americans, or just people who are born here with the Korean parents.
Mhm.
But there hasn't been much platform like this where people like us, like in between, right? So
Yeah.
this is quite special.
Yes. Thank you so much for that affirmation. Yeah. Yeah. I think so. I want to share this, our experience and validate that experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important. Yeah, we're not alone.
Exactly.
Mhm.
I think in a lot of cases where I kind of felt uncomfortable or felt left out, I told myself it's okay not to fit in, or I don't have to necessarily like belong to a certain community or race groups or social groups even. Embracing myself as like who I am, and I am different, and as someone who's teaching Korean food, or sharing a lot of Korean culture,
Mhm.
this actually became being different, being like the outside or marginalized group,
Yeah.
has become my asset. It's something that I'm using to make a business,
Oh,
make a living. you know. So I just never thought I could be doing that, you know. So yeah, like being whole as who you are is probably more important. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That is so
Mm.
important.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's such an empowering statement.
Yeah, I mean, I think the younger generation probably have different kind of perspective, you know, because I think like even just looking at my kids' generation, they have a very different perspective on life, or just being Asian American living in U.S. or being Korean. So I think every generation will have to kind of learn and adopt. But for people that are kind of in our space right now,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's an important message.
Yes, it is. It's
Mm.
such a wonderful perspective. Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome. Thank
Yeah.
you.
If you were to describe who you are yourself with the food, what would it be? Such a fitting question for you, but
One thing that comes up like right away is kamjakguk. So kamjakguk is basically a potato soup, but yeah, it's a potato beef soup.
hmm
It was my favorite soup as a child growing up. It wasn't something that I was able to order at a restaurant because it was just one of those like a homey
yeah.
dish. It's one of my kids' favorite comfort soup on their first day of school. It's the soup that I make for them because it just like comfort like a
Oh,
hug for like not just for me but for them.
I love
So
that.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
I making that soup on their first day of school, just as a little family tradition.
Mhm.
So simple, deep, but like healthy and comforting is where
Mm,
yeah.
yay. I love that answer. It's so interesting how people come up with these like non-typical food. I was
I
afraid everybody was gonna say bibimbap. Like Chef Edward Lee say he's a bibimbap or something like that.
think in
Oh, bibimbingan, yes. That's funny. Oh gosh. Selena, thank you so much for your time. I really thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I learned so much about you and your experience as a 1.5 Gen living in Oakland. Very different from where I am or where I was. So
Mhm.
it's always interesting to hear other people's stories. Well, audience or friends, don't forget to subscribe, follow us on Instagram, Spotify, Apple, and YouTube for more contents like this that's relatable and speaks deeply about 1.5 generation. Thank you.